Hey, good morning everyone from Phoenix, Arizona. Today we're coming at you from the Wildlife World Zoo and Aquarium. I go by the Legend, joined by my girlfriend Molly. In this video here, we're going to show you all around this attraction, all the animals, the exhibits, the rides. There's rides at the zoo. Yeah. So let's go in and check it out. So one of the first things you see when you come in is this interesting combination of amusement park ride and animal exhibit. You've got an island with all sorts of monkeys on it, a lot of them.
Yeah, swans that are...
Yeah, some black swans. I like the monkeys crawling around over there. And then surrounding the monkey island is a log flume. Now there are rides here. The rides all cost extra. I think most of them are around like $5-6 bucks. But the log flume looks like it goes all around the monkey island. Might go into that building. And it's definitely a custom log flume. All right, guys, so there it is. There's a log flume that goes through a glass tunnel in this aquarium here. That is gotta be the coolest part of that log flume.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean that's something you don't really see. I don't think I've ever seen a log flume that goes through like a, an aquatic animal enclosure. There is also a sea turtle in here. Definitely, he looks like a rescue type guy. He's missing his front flipper. This is an Adra gazelle. Beautiful little horns on it. And they have a couple of them. Also, these guys look like they have a lot of room to, do their thing. Here's a noisy lagoon filled with flamingos. They seem like they're very tall flamingos here.
They are.
They also have a couple of macaws in the lake.
Which you don't see.
No.
Ever.
Over here, you got a wonderful koi pond. Very peaceful. The zoo does have another attraction here. For a couple bucks, you can ride the train. And a very small, very short train, but it does go past some of the animal enclosures.
Yeah, like ostriches and water fox, I think.
So Molly and I are up close and personal with a couple of crested screamers.
Look at their claws, like their talons.
I'm kind of surprised these guys aren't like behind a fence. Like you could reach out and pet them if you wanted to.
Yeah.
I don't do that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and they'll bite your fingers off.
Over here is it looks like a lemur island. Also, look at that swan.
Very pretty.
Yeah. There's a guy who just came out in a rowboat to feed the ring-tailed lemurs here on Lemur Island. You can see one of them there, giving us the business end as he enjoys lunch. This guy is very fast. This is a jackal. A black-backed jackal. Not a super common zoo animal.
No.
But he's pretty neat. Oh, is he gonna run over again? He looks very dog-like. Pacing back and forth over here is a jaguar. And he's got a decent amount of room, but this is not the nicest zoo exhibit for a jaguar. Beautiful animal though. Right over here by the fence is a couple New Guinea singing dogs. Oh! Who decided to sing right on cue for us? Look at those good boys. You can see some emus over here, and then some alpacas or llamas in the background. Not too surprising, the zoo has a carousel ride. $3.50 for a carousel ride. Climbing all over here are the squirrel monkeys. The zoo has a ton of squirrel monkeys, including this little guy climbing on the roof. Sleeping over there is an African lion. Definitely not the nicest lion enclosure I've ever seen.
No, definitely needs some.
The zoo does have a couple of tigers. Interesting to see the white tiger in the same enclosure as the more traditional Bengal tiger. I would say the tigers seem like they have a decent amount of room.
Yeah, just lacking like
enrichment kind of stuff.
Yeah.
This enclosure here is Spider Monkey Island. And I like their enclosure here for the spider monkeys. Like they have big, giant trees they could climb up, and they have another island they could go to if they want to. And since this guy keeps vocalizing, I'll put him on camera. Little one too. Right up next to the fence is a big old vulture. They got a couple of them in here. Oh, here's a better shot of that big Bengal tiger.
He's giant.
Yeah, that's quite the big guy. You look happy. Running around. Posing beautifully next to his sign is a king vulture.
You look really gorgeous.
Yeah. There's another Stanley crane right here, but this guy is right up at the fence.
He likes the attention.
Yeah. And he's pretty much sticking his beak through the through the fencing there.
He was following the people.
Yep. Over here you can see a second white tiger.
The other one, I think it was a white Bengal tiger. This
Yes.
one's a white tiger.
I thought it's the same thing.
Maybe?
In the middle of the zoo, you do have some construction going on for what does look like what'll probably be a fancy new exhibit with a lot of rock work going in. There's no signage telling you what's going on here, but it looks like it might be nice. Hanging out way above the people here is a jaguar. Very interesting enclosure he has, where he can go hang out in the waterfalls on the rocks, or in the cage right above the people. I think he's interested in this lady's service dog. Something I did not know about this zoo: they are indeed part of the AZA and the Species Survival Program. So good for them. For $6, you can ride the Sky Ride, which does go over like animal exhibits and stuff. I think it goes for over about maybe a third of the zoo. In the back right corner of the zoo is the Adventureland area, and you do have a couple more rides here, more modern rides too. Like they've got a Star Flyer you could ride for a couple bucks, or a very modern looking flying scooters ride you could ride for a couple bucks. The next exhibit is all about native animals. And when I think Arizona desert native animals, the first thing that comes to mind for me, the Arctic fox.
Definitely.
Who must be inside. Inside the building, you can see a couple of badgers here. Unfortunately, they're asleep, but on the plus side, they're sleeping really cutely.
Yeah, they're adorable.
The Arctic fox is also sleeping, but he's also sleeping in a really cool spot. Well, Molly, I guess you must have saw a shadow. Here you can see a gray fox who is very little. And very active. Look at that climbing ability. Must have got some good smells up there. Here you can see the zoo's bison. They are very far away from people. They have a good amount of room, not a ton of room for a bison, but they do a pretty good size enclosure. Littler ones too. Like that's a pretty small. Good powered. Good looking ones too. Also, look at this sign.
The ad?
Yes, for Zoo Berto's Mexican food. Here you can see a very, very pretty cougar. Not aiming the right direction for us. Oh, there it goes. Unfortunately not posing for us is a bobcat. You can see its cool ears. Exhibits home to some deer. I twirl around here. It's a greater bison?
Bison, they're like weasels.
Yeah. They are pretty neat. And that'll interest to the next building, which is South American critters. The South American Critters building is pretty small. I think the first animal we saw, the Grisson, was probably the favorite. We do have some big armadillos though. This is an interesting combination because you have the two-toed sloth in here, a very relaxed species, doesn't move around a lot, and it's in there with a tamarin, who is a very, very active species. This guy is also cool. This is a Tyra.
I don't know if I've ever seen him.
No. What a neat little animal. I wouldn't mess around with him though. He's got some claws. And I think he's getting ready to make a graceful exit. So I'm using the super zoom to the fullest as the axis deer is way in the back of its enclosure. But it has some really, really big horns on it. Or antlers. They're probably antlers.
Antlers.
So one of the big reasons why I wanted to come to the Wildlife World Zoo is they have a roller coaster credit. So they like a full-size family roller coaster, a unique layout.
Yeah. Custom built, right?
Yeah, it does cost about $6 to ride.
Per person.
I think it's a Chance Morgan layout. Now the interesting thing, it didn't happen on our ride, but the llama exhibit goes underneath the roller coaster. So if those llamas want to, they could just hang out right underneath the roller coaster, which I imagine is part of the reason why this had to be custom designed, so that the llamas could go underneath and not have to worry about hitting the track. The roller coaster does cost about $6, and it was my number 688 roller coaster. Right next to the roller coaster is Monkeys and More.
Don't know what more is.
Now there's not a ton of the Monkeys and More enclosure, but you do have this beautiful Asian water model here.
And he's the guy that you go past on the roller coaster.
Yeah, you can see right there's like a white wall. That's because the roller coaster goes right through there. So when you're on the roller coaster before going up the lift, you get to see this awesome giant lizard. And then you roll past the next window, past a whole bunch of squirrel monkeys. Even a little squirrel monkey. So in the back of the zoo by the roller coaster, there's these big steps or ramps to come up to this lookout tower right at the edge of their property.
It has to be like giraffes or something?
Maybe zebras. No, these are, it is common rheas and capybaras.
You are adorable.
Yes.
Oh man, they have so much room.
Yeah. I mean, this enclosure, it's like the size of a football field for capybaras and rheas. Capybaras do have a little lake they can play in. Yeah, this is definitely not what I thought I was going to see coming up here. Hanging out down here is a tapir. You know, the wildlife world never ceases to amaze me. There's just a small cage down here with some small birds in it. I think they might be like baby rays or rheas.
Which makes sense because we're by their exhibit.
They're cool looking.
It's odd.
It's really odd. Has some like fighter jets circle overhead. I guess there must be like an army base nearby or Air Force or something like that. Here's a pronghorn.
The antlers are so cool.
Yeah.
Don't mess with that guy.
Got another ride here. This is Soaring Eagle zip line. These are tons and tons of fun. So two people sit here, and then you get drugged all the way back to the top of the tower, and then zip line on down. These are really, really fun. The zoo does charge about $15 per person on this one, so I'm not sure if it'll be quite worth $15 per person. Also, just to take note here, the zoo for like the rides and the food, it's cash only. So be prepared to bring some cash. Also, here is about the 500 Monkey Island here at Wildlife World. Here you can see some Sika deer from East Asia.
They are adorable.
They are like that guy is just adorable. We have enclosure here with more axis deer. But our favorite part is this Cape Bearing geese.
He comes running up to you.
Yeah, he's just been like following us all around the enclosure.
And he came running up when
Yeah.
he saw us come up.
And he's very happy.
He is.
Friend, want to go on a little run with me? Here we go, we're gonna go on a run. Run. How about we go back? Let's run over here. Here you can see a whole bunch of Patagonian cavies. They have a lot. Getting really up close to some. I believe these guys are pecaries. Here you can see the zoo's black bear. Kind of far away from us. And this one is kind of annoying because this only looks like a newer enclosure here. And I don't know, it feels like they just like copy and pasted what they would have from a zoo from like the 50s.
Yeah.
A big field here full of Thompson's gazelles, or Tommies as some call them. The sky ride goes right over the pen for the, I believe these guys are oryx. Here you can see a very majestic looking zebra.
I think it's funny because we have 3 eating and then that one has his back turned to the others. I mean, he was hungry.
Here you can see the addax area, including some little guys. That one's really small.
He's super tiny.
And you can see his little nubs where his horns are going to be. If you've ever wanted to see a camel staring longingly at a sky ride, well, Wildlife World is the place for you.
He's very entrenched.
He is. And then with the giraffes up here. Now you can feed the giraffes for 50 cents. You do have to have some quarters as you get their feed out of these machines here. But it doesn't cost anything to come up and say hello.
He's not interested. You don't have 50 cents.
No. And you gotta have quarters. Look at that tongue. He's no one interested in us. And you could make out with that post. That's strange.
Must taste good.
Whoa. Yep, you taste like post now. The big mud pit areas for the warthogs, who are kind of sleepy over here. Over here you have a very large savanna area with all types of animals in it. And this is where that train ride goes. So this train ride will take you around all those animals. They got water bucks and ostriches and crown cranes and more. I had to turn the camera back on here at the giraffe enclosure because look at this little guy. That is a baby. Face. This koi pond here welcomes you to something that I really hope is going to be adorable, the baby animal nursery. Here you get about a 2-month-old blue diker. And look at that precious little face of his. Oh man. He's small too. I know that species is not a very big one, but you know, at this point here, he's like kitten sized. Yet another ride in the back left corner of the park. There's a safari tram ride you can go on for about $6.
It takes you into some enclosures.
More animals over there. Not very close to them, but these guys are Watusi cattle with the big giant horns. Wow.
You do not want to mess with those horns.
No. Sleeping over here are a couple of lions. And it's interesting because the lion enclosure in the front of the park is not very nice. It feels very, very old. Where this one, you know, it's much more larger and spacious and feels like much more of a modern zoo attraction.
Yes.
Or enclosure. Very, very happily wagging his tail over there is a Red River hog.
They're so cute.
Yeah, that's a big one too.
Yeah. I love the noises they make.
Mm-hmm. Interesting species here, hiding out in the back of the enclosure.
I don't think we've ever seen these.
I don't think so. Here you can see some kudu. Molly, this is kind of neat. These two pygmy hippopotamuses here. And that's a bird that makes a really interesting noise right next to them. They are very sleepy, wallowing in the mud here. Next to the singing birds. The pygmy hippos, if they chose to, they actually have a really nice waterfall and pond they can come play in as well. A fun enclosure here for the black and white colobus monkeys. I like how that one's hanging out. Here's a species you don't see at a lot of zoos either. This is, oh, look at them. They're onagers. They're wild horses from Asia.
And apparently they run up to 43 miles an hour.
They're fast wild horses from Asia.
Yeah.
Here you can see a caracal rolling around, doing cat stuff. Aww.
He's enjoying his day.
Yeah. Getting a good scratch. There is a second one in there towards the back, and lots of logs and stuff for them to play on. Unfortunately, sleeping during our visit is the clouded leopards. They have two of them. Here you can see the zoo's Nyalas. I'm assuming that's the male, this is the fuzzy one. Coming right up to say hello, here is a striped hyena. It looks like a smaller hyena than the ones I'm most used to are the ones at Busch Gardens over in Tampa.
Yeah.
And these definitely look like either they're like juveniles or they're just smaller.
Yeah.
These guys are pretty neat. You got a couple of baboons over here.
He was reaching through the fence.
Yeah, with little arms. And interesting bums. Interesting bums indeed. Oh. Granted, with a very, very large enclosure is a couple of nene gooses from Hawaii. There's a couple other birds in here as well. But yeah, they have a lot of room.
Plenty of room.
Some cool crane type birds too over there in the back.
Which makes us question, like, why does the tigers have a small pen?
Yeah, the tigers and the jaguars are in this tiny little pen, and then.
But the nene gooses and two cranes, giant.
Yep. These cranes are cool.
They are.
Do have a big area here for the white rhinoceroses. You can see them there. Looks like they've got some construction equipment in their normal area to give them more dirt to play with. But all the rhinos seem up and pretty active.
And more mud. They're getting more mud.
Oh, yep, the hose guys here. Getting some more solid mud for these rhinos to come and play in.
Oh, and there's the tram.
Oh, and there comes the tram.
It's $10 if you do want to do this tram.
$10, really? I thought it was a $6.
I think it's 10 per
right.
person.
It looks like they are continuing to expand here at the Wildlife World. This will be the site of a future walkthrough aviary, which I don't think they have any of.
No?
We've been through most of the zoo by now, and I don't think we've seen that. And over here are some flamingos. And these are definitely not the normal type of flamingos like we're used to at SeaWorld. It's a different species, I believe. So you can look at the beaks. You can see some springbok. These guys are known for their jumping abilities. Give another African savanna style exhibit here with ostriches. They do have ostrich eggs laying around. If we were guessing real or fake, I think Molly and I are both saying.
Same as with Kilimanjaro Safari.
Yeah, they're probably fake eggs. There's a lot of them, and they all happen to be like right by the guest area. Here you have another animal I really enjoy. These guys are rock hyrax. Not sure if my camera's gonna pick up on them through the fence, but they got 3. That one definitely looks like a younger one too, over there. And I'm guessing mom and dad are up on top of the rock. Here you can see a couple of cheetahs. They are sleepy. Oh, this one's awake now. Oh, I think he's probably just awake briefly. He looks like he's ready to go back to catnap.
And there he goes.
Back to catnap. So you do have another one of these islands with monkeys and lemurs on it. But this one, there's also some small deers living over there.
They probably walked over.
Yep. So over in the nursery, we did see a full-grown blue duiker earlier, or baby blue duiker earlier. But you can see the full-grown version, also not very big. Walking over towards us is a warthog.
Hi, buddy. Nope, not interested.
No. You do have an aviary.
So we lied earlier.
We did, yeah. It's an African-based bird aviary. It's kind of neat from a design standpoint. Like there's free flight birds, and there's other birds behind the grates, like some more Stanley cranes. You have East African crown cranes. There is supposed to be a blue duiker wandering around the floor. I haven't seen him yet. But then, like, you get very close to some big birds, like
this guy.
Yeah. Oh, I don't want to scare him off. I'm sorry, but I did have to walk by. And he's pretty cool. A nice little aviary. So I have a feeling here this meerkat doesn't really care for lookout duties or hanging out in the sun.
No, he likes his log seat.
Yep. But that's a sweet pose. It's a really, really neat enclosure for some African crested porcupines. I guess they like to dig holes and then hang out in the holes, but you can see, unfortunately, on our visit, they're sleeping. But it looks like they have at least 4 over there in the back. Another show they offer here is the Wildlife Encounters show, which I'm guessing is probably like birds and snakes and small mammals. I don't think we're going to personally have time to see it on our visit today. In the front left corner is the aquarium section. So there's a whole bunch of these buildings you go in that have all kinds of fish and aquatic animals in them. Here is one of my favorite zoo animals, the Asian small-clawed otter. Hi, buddy.
He's very interested in you.
I know.
Hi.
You just made a squeak.
He's so cute.
Oh. I want to take him home. We have wandered into another one of the aquarium buildings. This one, from a thematic standpoint, is pretty nice for the turtle exhibit. Not quite sure if a turtle of that size should be in a lagoon this small. Also in here is the Asian small-clawed otters who can come inside as well. As you can see them swimming around there. And they have a big slide. Looks like Molly has found some very large tanks here.
Rays.
Yeah, you got rays, catfish, and some very large fish over here. Trying to catch up to these guys over here. They're very, very big fish. I do love like the theming standpoint too, where like the tree goes into and out of the enclosure. You can see some of the big fish there with some minor glare issues. Alright, you got a whole bunch of seahorses. And then you got a really beautiful tank over here. A weird fish.
Yeah, I don't even know what that is.
No, look at that guy. Shark swimming by. Man, look at him. Oh, and these guys are cool. This is the spotted garden eels. They're very much like a SpongeBob type character.
Yeah.
And they kind of pop in and out of their holes that they live in the sand. Underneath the Jolly Roger there, they do have a sea lion show. A couple times a day here. You can see them swimming around. Inside another aquarium building here, these are all fish that live in the Amazon River. And then you also have more macaws. I like how he talked on command when I said macaws. This aquarium's home to a Nile crocodile. And this has to be a juvenile one, Molly, because that's a very small Nile crocodile.
Yeah.
It's probably about 4 or 5 feet long.
And he has all his fish friends.
Yeah. I'm not sure I've ever seen a fish like this before. That is a trumpet fish. Another good-sized aquarium here. You've got rays, gar, and my personal favorite, the guy that just swam by there, and it's swimming by now, that's a paddlefish. Molly, this is so precious.
This is adorable. You always see otters sleeping and like cuddling.
But that is a bona fide otter cuddle party right there.
Yeah, and it's so cool that they cut the hole in the log so you can see it.
Oh,
So cute.
this guy here is a fly river sea turtle native to Australia and New Guinea. You got a green tree python doing exactly what that species is known to do. Just curls themselves up on a branch.
And resting his head like in between his curls.
Here's another creature that's not super common. This is a mata turtle.
One of the largest freshwater turtles. Their head's so cool.
Yeah. Sticking his head out of the water there. That's a common snapping turtle. You've got some interesting stuff here. This exhibit is designed to have a red-tailed hawk up there. The red-tailed hawk is outside today. And then you've got an aquarium that goes right above you. I actually missed this when we walked by earlier. I absolutely love these guys here. These are snake-neck turtles. They're a creature that really doesn't seem real to me. Seems like something Dr. Zeus would have invented.
In a fantasy world.
Yeah.
Yeah, they kind of seem sci-fi.
They do. They have a lot of them too.
Yeah?
They have at least 5 or 6 in here. Really nice enclosure here for these guys. Those little fish in there, they are blind cave fish. Here's a good one. You can see his tentacles moving around there. It is a giant Pacific octopus.
Which is unique because usually they're like really curled up or hidden in a small space.
He's very much kind of spread out.
Yeah.
And he's big too. Like that's one of the larger ones I've seen. Tentacles. And now it's time for the greatest animal in all of time and space, the penguin. They have black-footed penguins here from South Africa. I like the exhibit too, because they do have like the holes in the rocks, because that's where this type of penguin tends to live, and you can see a couple of them there. I'm not sure if they have an egg in there or not. And they do have some underwater feedings, or not underwater feedings, an underwater viewing area. They do feed the penguins twice a day at 10 and 4. We did swing by during penguin feeding time, and there was just so many people here. It was miserable. We came by, a half an hour later, and it's just Molly, me, and about 25 penguins. This one is impressive to me. They have about 6 or 7 oxycodals in here. They're native to Mexico. They're not super common.
They're called Mexican walking fish.
Yeah.
And they're salamanders.
And most of the time when you see these in zoos, you only see about one. And they have a lot of them here.
Yeah. I like this guy who's like wrapped himself around a rock.
They're such neat animals. Here you have an American alligator. Now, Molly, I know a thing or two about zoos and aquariums. I got to assume this exhibit was not built for an American alligator.
Oh, no, not at all.
As it goes completely over the top.
And then you land into the dwarf.
There's a dwarf?
Yeah, well, you can't really
like a
see
dwarf
them.
caiman?
Yeah.
Obviously not animals that are going to climb trees and go to the other side. Some pretty tanks though. Like, look at this. It's mesmerizing, these guys.
Yeah, the guys swimming around in a circle.
Yeah, they're all shiny. And you got more really neat designs here too. Oh, look at that eel.
Hey, there's one up there that this guy's halfway out of his hole.
Wow.
And this one right here.
Oh, wow. So this is definitely the moray eel exhibit. And they have a bunch of them. Obviously a little darker in this section. But yeah, I definitely love the design of this tank here. Look at the spotted one.
Hanging out, chilling.
You do have a big stingray touch tank kind of thing. It's free if you want to come and touch them. If you want to buy some food, it'll be about $3. They've got pretty big ones in the for a touch tank exhibit.
Yeah.
And then you got a really, really big tank over here with different types of sharks in them. And he's quick. The black-tip shark.
Yeah. He's on a mission.
Here you can see a couple of wobble-gong sharks. Both a fun name and a fun species of fish.
They eat octopuses.
Like the giant Pacific octopus?
I don't know what kind of this is octopus.
Oh, that's a weird thing to have
weird,
for a giant.
right?
Yeah. Looks like this guy definitely wants to go to either outside or his night home or something like that. But you got a white alligator here. And interesting, there is a barbecue restaurant. It's not open right now, but you can watch the white alligator from the barbecue restaurant, as well as from like the guest pathways. I mean, of course I want to go check out the kangaroo walkabout. So here's the kangaroo walkabout area. The kangaroos look like they have a lot of room.
Yeah.
And there's a little guy, not like a tiny guy, but he's little. It's also nice, when we came, this was one of the first things we did, and there's nobody in here. So it's just us and some kangaroos. Also guys, if I know my kangaroos, with that low-hanging pouch like that, there's probably a baby in there. So over here in the kangaroo enclosure, there's also some of the cutest animals known to man. Baby ducks.
They are really adorable. Look at their spots.
They're so fluffy. Like at many zoos, they do have a lure keep feeding over here. If you swing by at 11, 1, or 3 for a couple bucks, you can feed the colorful birds. There they are. Quite noisy this morning. In this exhibit here, you can see the wallabies, which I think are an adorable creature. And they have a lot of them, including I saw a baby hopping around over here.
He's ready for dates.
Yep. And use this super zoom here. Look at how tiny he is. He's so small. Oh, that is cute. And he's hopping now. But yeah, they have a lot of wallabies. All right, looks like there's an Australian boat ride at certain times a year for $5. You could get on this luxurious pontoon boat and go on a trip around the lake. So you can learn some Australian slang while you're here, and most of it is related to booze.
It's what I need. Say biscuit and alcohol and candy.
Yeah.
And not to be rude, you say goodbye.
I haven't had my heart starter, which was my first alcoholic drink of the day. See, are you proud of me, YouTube? It's 9:40 and I haven't had my heart starter yet. I love that a midi is a glass of beer that is 10 ounces, or plonk, cheap wine. That's good. That's a fun way of saying cheap wine. So it's more culture than that. There is different types of slang, like for people, yeah, or animals. So don't worry, there are more than just learning about booze. I have a feeling I'm gonna like this one. It's a small world, small mammal exhibit. Let's see the red-handed tamarins over here. Not an ultra common type of tamarin.
Oh, it's eating.
At least see. Oh, look at that. What was he eating?
I have no idea. That one's super close.
I know. This one hops up right next to us. You can see why they're called the red-handed tamarins. Running around adorably, that's a hairy armadillo. There are a couple in there. Here's the chinchilla, which is an animal you can own as a pet, I believe. But I don't have one, so I like sitting in it. There is, and there's a baby back there too. If you look at the back, I can't get it with the glare, but there's a couple of them.
Look at his head, his face.
Yeah, there you can see the little one. Oh, but you're so cool. You got some Prevost squirrels over here, which are Malaysia, Sumatra, and Borneo. And then down there is an agouti. The next enclosure over, these agoutis are much more active. Really colorful too. And they're friends with a tamarin. Molly, here's another one that's not very common at all for zoos. It's a lowland paca.
Yeah. They're so cute though.
And it's interesting, like you can see this one over here is definitely much bigger. These guys are degus, which is a Chilean mouse.
Which I don't think I've ever seen.
No. He was just sharpening his teeth on this wood here. Flying around in here is a bunch of fruit bats. Complete with fruit hanging from the ceiling.
Who would have thought?
Yeah. And our last look at here, he's a blue dago who's getting his blue dago steps in. Up next, Dragon World. The Dragon World area is home to an alligator snapping turtle.
What one do you want to pose with? Pose next to one of them.
Not something you get to see a lot. They get to see a lizard swimming.
Yeah.
A caiman lizard.
He's giant. Look at his tail.
Yes. This really impressive creature here, this is an Asian water monitor.
Look at his tongue.
It's a caiman lizard.
That is a cool animal.
That's so cool.
Here you can see a saltwater crocodile, which these are the biggest species of crocodile or alligator. They could grow up to 20 feet in length. This is an animal you really rarely see in zoos. I think in all of our adventures, this is only the second one I've ever seen. They are truly amazing creatures. Unfortunately, I gotta mention, like, guys, if this creature can grow up to 20 feet long, it needs to be in a much bigger enclosure than one that's like 30 feet wide. But I mean, it's still, I mean, this is not an animal you get to see very often. And then we get to see it moving as well. It's really awesome. I mean, you know, this is very much dinosaur-esque here. While the birds want our attention, I think we're going to go inside the reptile exhibit next. When you walk into the reptile exhibit, you're greeted by two giant boa snakes. And this is kind of what you would think of in most reptile houses, like older style reptile houses, the kind of the small exhibits spaced out with a larger aquarium style exhibit. We'll show you the highlights. Molly, these are neat tiger salamanders.
Yeah.
Oh, I think he's going into his hole.
I like the one just laying in the...
Hanging out in the pool.
Yep.
Posing for us here is a bearded dragon. Looking like something right out of Jurassic Park here. It's a frilled lizard. So he's got the big frill that goes around his head and neck area. I imagine that could be like unfurled.
Yeah.
This one's an interesting exhibit too. You got a couple of radiated tortoises, and then in the water is an anaconda.
Giant.
The next exhibit is very interesting. It's a boa constrictor exhibit, And there is no glass here, as the snake just stays on the log all day long. Molly just said she thinks it's weird that there are birds in the reptile house, and I bring up the counterpoint that Acaris are cool. You also have a bunch of tortoises in here.
Yellow-footed tortoises.
Including one hanging out on the lake. Another one that's very dinosaur looking here. This is a black-throated monitor. Hanging out in the barrel like he's Donkey Kong. This big slender guy here, this is an Argus monitor.
It's interesting that they vary in size. And they grow anywhere from like 5 feet long, like up to...
I mean, he looks like he's probably 3 feet long.
Yeah.
Really, really interesting body, like a very, very long tail. Look at him. He hears something. I think these guys are just coming out for the day here. A couple of very large Galapagos tortoises.
I wonder if one day just feels like a few seconds to them since they live like so long.
Yeah,
like 150 years.
And they're taking it of the day and checking out the enclosure. I do like this. They have quite the exhibit for various types of macaws. And they have a whole bunch of them. And I'm guessing they could sleep in these barrels here. You do have a lot of enclosures here that are all different types of birds. And these guys are neat. They're Demosil cranes from Eurasia.
I don't think we've ever seen them.
No. These are some Victoria crown pigeons, which are really fun, beautiful birds.
Yeah, with their heads.
Interesting, they get their water from a bowl labeled dog. Cool looking bird here. These are gray-winged trumpeters. Another neat bird over here. This is a greater curassow. Big feet. In this enclosure here are some Hadda's monkeys. You can see a little one as well. This big guy here is a Stanley crane. Really interesting looking animal. Hanging out here is a pleated gibbon. Right up by the fence.
Rare gibbons.
I mean, I don't remember seeing pleated gibbons before.
Yeah, they're only in eastern Thailand.
Hanging out down there, that's a white-handed gibbon. You get very close to them here. I mean, I'm probably 4 feet away from that animal.
He was swinging a couple seconds ago.
Yeah. More monkeys. This time they're Siamangs. You can see a red-ruffed lemur there in a chair swing.
He's enjoying it.
Yeah. And then another one over there, climbing on a log. This is fun here. It's black and white Colobus monkeys, and you can see a baby there.
He's so small.
So I do encourage you to come in the gift shop, as they got some neat photo ops in here. Like Molly is currently in an aquarium, surrounded by some pretty neat looking fish.
Yeah, and this side is cool.
Yeah. All right, and that'll do it for our time here at the World Wildlife Zoo, or Wildlife World Zoo and Aquarium. We were here for a long time. This is a very large place.
Yes, we were here for 4.5 hours or so?
4 hours.
4 hours.
And I kind of have mixed feelings on it. There is some good. It is an incredible collection of animals. They have so many different types of animals and so many of each type of animal.
Yes.
Molly, did you have a favorite animal of the day?
That goose that chased us.
The goose that chased us around.
I also like the otter that made the squeaky noise.
For me, I really like the chinchillas and seeing the little tiny, like 2-week-old baby chinchillas.
Yes. You also like the singing dogs.
Singing dogs, yes. And I like, you know, the roller coaster credit. A unique roller coaster here, not like a copy and paste kind of thing.
Yep.
And they went past a giant lizard. Now we gotta get into some of the not so good. You know, It's a very expensive zoo. It costs about $41 to get in here, which I believe makes it like the second most expensive zoo in the entire country. And it's nowhere close to being the second best zoo in the entire country.
No.
Parts of it feels very, very industrial. Very like something you would see on Tiger King, unfortunately.
Yeah, there's a lot of old, like, small habitats.
Yeah, that are just like,
animals should not be in.
that are just like a mesh fence.
Yep.
Now, some of the newer stuff towards the back of the park, very nice.
Yes.
Some
Lots
of the
of room, and like the capybaras getting that giant.
yeah, the capybaras get a football field. And some of the aquarium stuff is also like top notch.
Yes.
But then some of the older stuff in the front it needs to go. So it's kind of a mixed bag there. I would say there are 2 zoos in the Phoenix area. You could go to the World Wildlife Zoo, or you could go to the Phoenix Zoo. Between the two, I would probably recommend the Phoenix Zoo.
I agree.
As it's $25 versus $41, and the exhibits are nicer.
And we spend about the same time in both.
Yeah. All right, guys, that'll do it. If you have any questions or comments, let us know in the comment section below, and thank you very much for watching today.